Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. A lot of great Steam deals running right now, and I want to take you guys through all of them under $10, at least the ones that I would recommend. Got about 15 games to go over. As always, Steam is running deals all the time, and these are deals directly from Steam itself. No third-party e-tailers, not Green Man, Games Plan, or anything like that. I always recommend shopping on those platforms, but if you like to do all your game buying directly on Steam, I got you guys covered for games under $10. We recently did a video of games under $5, so go check that out if you haven't. But also do keep in mind, we're entering the holiday season. Tomorrow, the Halloween sale should be kicking off. Very shortly, the autumn sale is going to be kicking off. After that, the winter sale is going to be kicking off. There is going to be no shortage of great game deals, so if you don't pick anything up right now, no sweat. There's always going to be an opportunity to pick up good stuff. So with that being said, let's get right into it, and I have to kick things off with the Batman Arkham Collection, 85% off for $8.99. This includes Batman Arkham Asylum Game of the Year Edition, Arkham City Game of the Year Edition, Batman Arkham Knight, and the Batman Arkham Knight Season Pass. This is one of the most insane deals that has ever been available on Steam, to be quite honest, and I don't think that's hyperbole, given the quality level of all three of these games. Yes, Arkham Knight, when it came out, was one of the worst PC ports of all time. Since then, it has been greatly improved. I mean, we're 8.5 years removed from Arkham Knight's release, so they damn well better have improved it. Batman Arkham Asylum really was the game for me that changed my perception on superhero video games. Up until that point, we had titles like Spider-Man Web of Shadows and whatnot, but Arkham Asylum was on another level and was a fantastic game. And I wasn't a big Batman fan back in 2009, but after playing Arkham Asylum, obviously, Arkham City is my favorite of the three games, and Arkham Knight is great as well. I know people have their reservations on the Batmobile sections, but I still thought it was pretty damn good. And on top of that, getting all three of the games DLC, that's great. The only thing that isn't great is that anytime I look at Batman Arkham, it's a reminder that Rocksteady has just completely disappeared from the face of the gaming world. I know Suicide Squad is coming out, but man, you look at Suicide Squad and you look at what Batman Arkham was, and I'm just not excited that much for that game, especially hearing some stuff about it, but you know, hopefully it turns out well, and hopefully it's at the quality level of Rocksteady's other releases, but nonetheless, Arkham Collection, $9, crazy good deal there. Next up, Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition, $9.99, 75% off, Fallout 4 and all of the DLC. Fallout 4 was a game that had a grandiose level of hype and expectations attached to it. Was it at the level that I think people wanted it to be? Probably not. Probably it was a game that wasn't as good as Fallout 3 or New Vegas to a lot of people, but I still found Fallout 4 to be a pretty decent time, and I overall had some fun with it. It didn't hook me like a 3 or a New Vegas did, but, you know, Bethesda open world games are always fun to kill some time in, and for $9.99 you get the base game, a ton of DLC content. I think this is a pretty good deal, and I would still recommend it. Speaking of Fallout, obviously the game I would recommend is Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition, which is 67% off for $6.59. I mean, New Vegas is a game that I feel like the majority of you guys have in your library right now, and if you don't, slap yourself in the face and then go pick up New Vegas Ultimate Edition. I'm just kidding about slapping yourself in the face, but just saying, New Vegas is a fantastic game, and what's interesting about New Vegas, I feel, is that back in 2010, I remember the dialogue that was attached to this game. Most people were like, it's more of the same, it's just Fallout 3 expanded a little bit, could have been a standalone expansion, whatever, but Obsidian did a killer job in this game, and now, 13 years after its release, I believe it's like close to 13 years exactly, actually, I think it came out October of 2010, New Vegas is the game that I feel like is even more fondly remembered upon than Fallout 3, which is interesting how that ended up happening. New Vegas is great, got a bunch of DLC content here as well. $6.59, awesome price for that. Next up, we have Slay the Spire, 66% off for $8.49. This is a game that I constantly talk up because I think it is such a well-done game. Now, I had not been familiar heading into the release of the game of these card battler roguelike titles, and I played this game right as it was ending its early access period, so I don't know if Slay the Spire was like the first of its kind, but nowadays, you see a lot of games like this, and Slay the Spire, to me, I thought going into the game, I was like, okay, this is fairly simplistic. I've played card games in the past, and, you know, building a deck as you have your run, I thought that was a pretty interesting mechanic, but then you start playing the game more and you realize that there's a lot of depth and a lot of choices and a lot of decision-making in the game, making it a very addictive and replayable experience. I think it's a really well-executed game, and for $8.49, it's an incredibly addicting game and incredibly replayable as well. I have friends that have sunk over 100 hours into the game, which is wild, but yeah, you can easily do that. $8.49, great pickup there. Next up, Middleearth Shadow of War, 85% off for $7.49. The Definitive Edition is 85% off for $8.99. That's the route you should go. And if you haven't played Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, certainly go with the Middle-earth Shadow bundle. It just barely breaks our $10 price threshold, but it's $10.49, and you get Shadow of Mordor as well. That's insane. $1.50 more than Shadow of War's Definitive Edition. I think both games are really well done open-world action titles with incredibly satisfying gameplay. The open worlds aren't overwhelming, and that's what I like out of my open worlds. I'm down with open world games, but I don't like overwhelming open world games. And Middle-earth Shadow of War and Mordor, I felt like found the happy medium where it was a good open world that had some size to it, but at the same time, never became overwhelming, and I thought from a gameplay standpoint, it was great. I'm not crazy about the stories in these games, but, you know, for some people, they're going to get super into it. Never been a Lord of the Rings guy or anything like that, but for this price point, really solid there. Next up, we have the Fear Complete Pack, 85% off for $8.24. This gets you Fear, Fear 2 Project Origin, Fear 3, and a plethora of DLC as well. I loved Fear 2 Project Origin. I thought that game was awesome. I know most people, if you're into horror games, like Fear 1 is the one that really sticks out to you, but I thought Fear 2 was great. Fear 3 kind of lost me a little bit, but I still thought it was a fairly good game, and you know, to get all three of them in a collection with some DLC content, $8.24, definitely a good buy there. Next up, we have a pair of Tomb Raider titles. Rise of the Tomb Raider is down to $5.99, while Shadow of the Tomb Raider is down to $9 and change, $9.90. That is the Definitive Edition with all the DLC. Tomb Raider 2013 is on sale, but it's down to like $3, and I'll do a games under $5 video again, and we'll mention that there, but ROTR, in my opinion, for the Tomb Raider game since the reboot, and really, ROTR is the best Tomb Raider game of all time, in my opinion. I thought Rise of the Tomb Raider was such a well-made game. It improved from a gameplay standpoint upon everything from Tomb Raider 2013. The narrative was pretty good. It expanded the game from a content standpoint. Visually, it was great. Just such a fantastic game that I strongly recommend, and it was so well done. You know, this is a game that I highly recommend you to play. Now, I would recommend you to play Tomb Raider 2013 before this, but if you want to jump into ROTR, that is an option as well. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is really good as well. It falters from a narrative standpoint comparatively to the first one, and they had some really whack DLC plan for SOTR where they illustrated, Square Enix, they illustrated the DLC plan for this game before release, and they were like, we got 7 months of DLC content, and that was supposed to be like a good thing, and it's like, come on, man, 7 months of DLC content? But nonetheless, SOTR is a great game as well. I recommend playing through the entire trilogy, and I legitimately think that, like, you always hear Tomb Raider being compared to Uncharted these days. Rise of the Tomb Raider, I feel like, is as good as the best Uncharted games, and maybe some people think that's a stretch, but I would put Rise of the Tomb Raider up there with Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 4, and yeah, I just think the game is great. SOTR I wouldn't put at that level, but it's still really damn good. Next up, we have A Plague Tale Innocence, which is down 80% to $7.99. A Plague Tale Innocence is an awesome narrative-driven game. It is a game that is incredibly dark, and I don't think the gameplay is an absolute home run, but you get into this game for the atmosphere and the storytelling, and both those elements are done incredibly well. Visually, it looks good. Not as good as its sequel, Requiem, but Requiem is one of the more technically advanced games that you're going to come across, but Innocence still looks really good, and if you want a darker tone to a game with a great ambiance, Plague Tale Innocence will have exactly that. $8, great price there. Next up, we have Rayman Origins, 70% off for $5.99. I often talk about how Ubisoft has done Rayman dirty, and they could do so much more with it. I actually saw a funny tweet about Rayman recently with the Blood Dragon anime, I think it was. You guys can look it up. It's a funny tweet. But Rayman Origins is really well done. It's a great platformer that's accessible to just about anyone, but also has a little bit of challenge to it. Great art style. Came out over a decade ago and still holds up really well. I would recommend it, and hopefully one day, you know, Ubisoft does more with Rayman as an IP. Next up, we have Cloudpunk, 65% off for $6.99. This is more of an exploration and engrossing atmospheric delivery-based game in this cyberpunk city. Visually, it looks fantastic, and you really get into it to take in the scenery, the set pieces, and things like that, the story. You know, it's a pretty well-made game, and if you like the cyberpunk aesthetics, if you like that setting, it's a game you're going to enjoy for $7. I think this is a good price point for it. The $20 full price is a little bit much, but at sub $10 and here at $7, I think think that's fairly good. Next up, we have The Legend of Tianding. This is a 2D combat game with a pretty good art style. Bit of a throwback. It's a side-scrolling action game about Lao Tianding, the legendary Taiwanese folk hero, and you'll have to explore the dazzling streets of colonial Japanese Taiwan in the early 20th century. A historical game here, and I think from a beat-em-up combat standpoint, done fairly well. $9.99, not a bad price for that. Might be seen as a little bit expensive, but this one goes a little bit under the radar. Has been out for almost 2 years now. I feel like it just came out kind of recently, but yeah, $9.99 on that. Next up, we have Inscription, which is 50% off for $9.99. An inky black card-based odyssey that blends the deck-building roguelike, escape room-style puzzles, and psychological horror into a blood-laced smoothie. Darker still are the secrets inscribed upon the cards. This game has had a crazy positive reception. I didn't get into it as much as a lot of other people, but you know, this is one where, remove my personal opinions aside, just a game didn't click with me. It's got 90,000 Steam reviews, 97% positive, and I believe it's been reviewed incredibly well by the critics. But when you have that kind of reception on Steam, that's incredibly strong. If you like the aesthetics and the tone of the game, probably going to be something you enjoy. Next up, we have Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate and the Injustice Legendary Edition bundle. This bundle is disgustingly good. 90% off for $9.99. Now, I get it that MK1 has come out, but do you want to pay $70 for MK1, $40 for the season pass or whatever, or buy the premium edition for $110? No, most of you probably don't. So why not get MK11 with that DLC content and then also get Injustice 2, the Legendary Edition? It's a ton of content for your dollar, $9.99. Obviously, you're not going to have like robust online gameplay to get into, but from a single player standpoint, they're still worthwhile to go through, especially Injustice, I thought was fairly well done. So $10 for that. Not a bad price. And then lastly, I do want to give a shout out to Beyond Two Souls. It's 60% off for $7.99. Now, to be perfectly honest, this, in my opinion, is Quantic Dream's weakest game. If you look at Indigo Prophecy, Heavy Rain, and Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls is the one that didn't click with me as much. It's still got an interesting story, and I think the voice acting is really well done. And if you like your narrative-driven, choice-based games, you'll probably still have some enjoyment out of it. It's just like, narratively, I feel like it's disconnected in some areas and a little bit hard to follow. Very much a lot of supernatural elements and things like that. But still a game, if you like the Quantic Dreams titles, worthwhile to check out. 60% off for $8 here. And that is going to do it for me. Again, Steam's running a lot of great deals right now. These are all under $10. Links to all of them, as always, will be in the description box below. That's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.